Today, we're here talking about Beowulf, sort of like an analysis or a review, more of an analysis. I have 2 points that I have to hit today to analyze how Beowulf reflects the Anglo-Saxon culture, and to also see the significance of Beowulf, and to see if it should be passed down and constantly taught to newer generations. To see how good the literature is and the story. So that's where what the review kind of comes in. I have pieces of evidence that I'm going to use to support Anglo-Saxon culture. If you guys didn't know, these were tribal people. Back in the very far past, they lived in tribes. They did the farming, and they also had kings, royalty and stuff. And there's values in Beowulf that reflect their values, such as kings. The warriors getting fame and respect off of how much people knew your name, the battles. So that's the stuff we're going to hit, and then we're going to see how significant the story is, and how does it stack up to storytelling in modern day, if it's actually that important. So the first piece that I want to go over is, should I go in order or okay? So here, this is based off of Scyld. They're the first king. This is from the prologue. This is the first king that we're given the name of. Still strong but called to the Lord's hands, his comrades carried him down to the shore, bore him as their leader had asked their lord and companion, while words could move on his tongue. Shild's reign had been long, he ruled them well. There in their harbor was a ring proud fighting, ship its timbers icy waiting, and there they brought the beloved body of their ring-giving lord and laid him near the mast. Next to the noble corpse they heaped the treasures, jeweled helmets, hooked swords, and coats of mail, armor carried from the ends of the earth. No ship had ever sailed so brightly fitted. No king sent forth more deeply moored forces to set him adrift, floating as far as the tide might run. They refused to give him less from their hoards of gold. Okay, so obviously from the ending there, they didn't want to give less than they could. They gave him everything. This is their lord, their king. They looked up to him. And even though that he led them into combat, and he also he gave them a system where respect and fame were given off a battle, they still admired him. And obviously we see now in modern day, with storytelling and actual real life, people wouldn't be giving away their things or admiring and doing these big get-togethers for their leader, their king, their presidents. People would get upset. But obviously the Anglo-Saxon culture reflected in this with Scyld is that kings, royalty, the people above you, the people that fight for you, the people that lead you are very important. And then this is something else that I have. Okay, so Grendel snatched at the first geat. He came to, so this is the Battle of Grendel. This is lines 421 to 429. So Grendel snatched at the first geat he came to, ripped him apart, cut his body to bits with powerful jaws, drank the blood from the veins, and bolted him down, hands and feet. Death and Grendel's great teeth came together, snapping his life shut. So this is when Grendel got tricked to go attack the party after all the men went to sleep, and that was Beowulf's doing. And I had a question about this in class. So there was a guy, unnamed, that Grendel just straight up, killed before he got to Beowulf. And to me, this shows the Anglo-Saxon culture of more of that warrior mentality, that combat, that they're willing to die in order for the main objective of a mission to be sought through. The main objective of the Battle of Grendel was to see Grendel dead, to stop having him, purge these people, kill these people, stop ensuing fear into the world. And this guy was willing to lay sleep and not do anything while Grendel tore him apart. And even the other men, and Beowulf included, didn't save him because this was a warrior's fate and this was a warrior's death, which I guess was seen as honorable. It's kind of interesting to think about. So another one we have here, Our Glorious King, by mighty God, I'd rather burn myself than see flames swirling around my lord. So this is the final battle. This is when Beowulf is 80 or 90, and he's an old man as a king. And this is after he went back to his land, the Danes. And he's fighting a dragon, and he went there with men, and they were all scared mostly. And he was dying in battle because first he was old and he wasn't in his prime anymore. And the dragon was actually killing him. And the person saying this quote that I just read is actually Wiglaf, one of the men that he admired Beowulf as a king. This goes back to what happened with Scyld, where they look up to their kings, they look up to the people that give them prosperity, give them peace, give them a life to live. So It goes back into that royalty, fame, and respect thing. So, Wiglaf, if you read the story, ends up helping Beowulf slay the dragon, and because of the courage that he shows Beowulf, he doesn't have to show that he's smart or that he's able to lead. All he does is show that he's able to fight and that he has the courage to do it. And Beowulf hands him, he hands him over the title of being king, and gives him all the jewelry, and he gives him even, the chainmail, everything that he's earned in battles. So it's kind of interesting that you can just show that you know how to fight and that you're brave enough to fight the threats in front of you, and you could basically become a king in Anglo-Saxon culture and in this story. We have another thing. Wait, okay, I already read that one. Okay, then this is another example. So this is from the prologue. Then Hrothgar, taking the throne, led the Danes to such glory, and comrades and kinsmen swore by his sword, and young men swelled his armies, and he thought of greatness and resolved. So this is showing that Hrothgar, one of the many children of this royal line, he led people into battle, and he was still seen as like a noble and a noble king, and had much respect. And to me, again, this shows that the tribal and village like life of the Anglo-Saxons, that they made this story, and it's all set on battle. It's all set on getting respect, getting fame, having kings that are above you that lead you into battle, and to have people that are stronger than yourself that have courage to do the things that you're not going to do. That's what Beowulf is the embodiment of, is like courage, strength, bravery, and that's basically all the kings were too, and people respect them and look up to them because of what they're able to do. Then we have another one. Okay. No, I expect no Danes will fret about sewing our shrouds if he wins, and if death does take me, send the hammered mail of my armor to Higlag, return the inheritance I had from Herthrel, I don't know if I said that correctly, and he from Wayland, fate will unwind as it must. So this is from Beowulf. He's going on one of those very long speeches talking about bravery, honor, and courage, and how he's going to kill Grendel. All of those speeches to me show Anglo-Saxon culture of again, the respect, and how Beowulf is seen as a big figure just from fighting in these wars and battles and fighting monsters and being able to win and being as strong as 30 men. So he's basically what he just said here, what I read, is that he's going to kill Grendel, or Grendel's going to kill him. It's going to be a death match. There is no one of them leaving. One of them's going to die. So he's basically saying that he's going to win, which obviously if you read Beowulf, he does. And it's not really that much of a competition for him to win. So I think that's it for me analyzing Anglo-Saxon culture. Obviously, when we look to the past, they didn't have modern buildings and all these infrastructures and all these different political systems that we do in modern day and even in the 20th century. When we look back, it's a lot of tribal, a lot less, not as technologically developed, because technology is not only electricity. It could be horseback, weapons, farming, tools that help you in your daily life, or just help you go farther into your life and the things that you're going to do with it. So I think Anglo-Saxons are another group of people that reflect the past of these tribes that want to gain more resources, that want to spread their influence, that want themselves to be superior. And they constantly fought, and then they had kings that led them. And that's one thing about ancient society that you always see, is you always have a leader, someone that you look up to, someone to look over everybody else. So now I'm going to say if I see Beowulf as significant. To me, Beowulf is most significant when looking at the Anglo-Saxon culture and who Anglo-Saxons were. If you want to look at what a community or a culture was, look at the stories that they made. And the stories that they look up to. When we look at Greek, we could look at Greek mythology. When we look at Egyptians, how they understood the world around them, we could look at Egyptian mythology. You know what I'm saying? So I think Beowulf's important in that sense. But when it comes to literature and storytelling, I don't think Beowulf has the components of a story that is actually needed for someone to comprehend deep storytelling, or comprehend a story and events that are going forward. Mostly what we see is long rants of dialogue and battles that are usually in the favor of the protagonist. There's really no struggle, no deep emotions, no deep emotional ties, no really character relationships or character ties. We don't really see too much of that. We just see Beowulf winning, and he fights monsters like Grendel, Grendel's mother, and then the dragon. And with the dragon, he only loses because he's old, and partially because the men leave. So I'm gonna go into things pieces of evidence to me why it's not significant and why it shouldn't really be passed down, besides the fact that it's related to Anglo-Saxon culture. No tales do you unearth telling of such clashing terrors, such contests in the night. So what I just read here is when Beowulf is talking to Unferth, a guy questioning Beowulf's honor, questioning his courage, because Beowulf has like all these tales from where he's from, how many battles he won, and that's actually why he's here, is because he wants to fight Grendel. He wants to fight this battle, and when you're reading the story, it doesn't really come off that he's doing this for no reason or that he's going to be the hero of the story. He kind of just wants to show off how strong he is. That's the vibe that you get. And Unferth is questioning him. He's saying like, is all this true? Are you actually this strong? Are you going to be able to save us? And then Beowulf questions him, and he says, do you have any tales? Do you have any stories that back up your name, the fame, your respect? Because that's basically what you were. You were important if you did important things. You weren't seen as important if you didn't do, things like battle, all the things that Beowulf encompasses in this story. So obviously what we see here is Unferth doesn't have any stories to tell Beowulf. And to me, this makes this story not significant, because it puts values into your mind. It makes you read values that aren't really important in modern day and don't really reflect the culture that we have now. To me, having like battles and having fame and respect and being popular doesn't make you an important person. You can still speak, you can still talk, you can still share all of your opinions and still, give something to the world without having to do exactly important things. So the reason why I find that this is a piece of evidence that makes it not significant is because he's questioning another warrior from another land if he's important because he hasn't heard any stories of him. You don't need to. That's the one thing that I don't like about the story, is that Beowulf is just this extra strong man and nobody else is important. And I don't feel like that's a good reflection of the world. Obviously, it's just a story, but this is kind of like their culture rolled up into a fictional story. So I don't think that their culture should be passed down in that kind of way. When the funeral flames have burned me, and build it here at the water's edge high on the spit of land, so sailors can see this tower and remember my name, and call it Beowulf's Towers, and the bow in the darkness and mist crossing the sea will know it. So this is when Beowulf is actually dying and talking to Wiglaf, and he's like telling him that like, you can be the king now and also build towers by the water so people can still remember my name. And to me, this is another piece of evidence that makes the story not important. It's just a whole bunch of like, remember me, please honor me, I need to be remembered type thing. And real heroes and people that save other people are going to be selfless, and they do it for the greater good. They don't do it to get recognition, to get praise. And from Beowulf's last words of like, please remember me, build these monuments so people remember my name even when they're traveling, I believe that it shows that Beowulf isn't a selfless hero. And from even the excerpt that I had to read in class for Grendel, when he's shown as evil and he's like enjoying the battle too much, because when soldiers are serving the military, they don't exactly enjoy what they're doing. They're doing it for the greater good and like being selfless and giving up time out of their life to defend people. And what we see from Beowulf is the complete opposite. He's giving time out of his life to have fun, and he's giving time out of his life to just do battle. And right now, as he's losing his life, he's like, make sure that I can be remembered. And to me, this just makes it like he's not really that important of a hero. And I don't think this protagonist story should be passed down, since he's not selfless. He just has selfish characteristics and personality traits. And then I have one last piece of evidence for why it's not significant. Okay. Then he saw hanging on the wall a heavy sword hammered by giants, strong and blessed with their magic, the best of all weapons, but so massive that no ordinary man could lift. So this last piece of evidence I'm going to go over is from the battle of Grendel's mother. This is when Beowulf hears that Grendel has a mother and there's other monsters of the night, so he goes into the lake and he goes into another land. Basically, the story of Beowulf's version of quote-unquote hell, like a darkness, a swamp, and he swims into the river, the lake, and he goes down and starts fighting Grendel's mother. And he actually starts to lose. This is when we see him actually begin to struggle. Because why is he struggling? He's fighting in a setting that isn't known to him. He doesn't have the home plane advantage. And what do? Instead of having him, rise up over the challenge and get stronger, or like find a weakness to make the character look better, to be more of what a protagonist is supposed to stand for. What I just read, all he does is find a magical giant sword, and he's able to kill her. And it's really not from his own power. It's just something that he just was able to find while getting beat up. So, this is my last reason why I don't think this story is significant. I think this story just represents plot armor and plot convenience and main character syndrome. Nobody else is really important besides Beowulf. We have a prologue where they say like all these kings, princesses and princes that eventually became kings, and how the royalty line works. Then you have characters like Grendel and Grendel's mother and the dragon and Wiglaf. And arguably, I would say that none of that really matters. You learn about the royal line, but the king of the Geats doesn't really do anything. He actually has to have help from Beowulf to deal with Grendel. And Grendel's only seen as important until Beowulf gets there. And even the dragon has no personality traits. It's only mad because somebody stole a cup. And it's only kind of seen as important in the story because it was the only monster in the story that was able to kill Beowulf. And, this just represents plot convenience to me. This sword on the wall that can magically kill, Grendel's mother, even though that she was winning. So I don't think the story's significant. I think you can obviously tell that the story's from the past and that it doesn't really have modern literature and storytelling in mind. I think it's really good for looking at how Anglo-Saxon culture is, again, like I said before. But when looking at it at a story standpoint, if you were to analyze it and review it as just a normal story, Beowulf as a story and a main character / protagonist isn't all special, and I don't see why it should be passed down. I don't see any significance to the story, the events that happened, or the fights that occurred. This is my review / analysis of Beowulf for my school project. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I get a good grade on this. I tried to get some evidence and stuff. I recorded way longer. This was supposed to be 5 minutes, but yeah.